Here we are in Yaakov, and we're in Brachot, and we're on page 55a1. So we were talking. I'll just to get us into this again. 55a1. So it says, Amar Rav Yitzchak shlosh devar maskirin avodatam shel Adam. There are three things that cause a person's sins to be recalled by the heavenly court, and he explains one who does any of these things is clearly confident of his own righteousness, since he regards himself as above reproach. Heaven searches his deeds and is liable to discover some iniquity. That's why these things, and what are they? Elohein. These are the three. Kier Netoy, going near a leaning wall. We're talking about a wall that's about to fall. That's considered a dangerous place for multiple reasons. One, just simply the wall can fall, and you don't want that to happen. The second thing is shadim hide by these walls because it's a dangerous place, and they hide in the shadows. Okay, if you have two people, the shadim won't bother you, but if you're all alone, then the shadim will. Yeah, I don't know why. Go ahead.
That also be like going into a decrepit place, not just a wall.
Yes, decrepit place would be the same thing. If I go into a place that is about to fall apart, then I'm putting myself into danger. They're using a leaning wall, but it could be a chorban,
like a barn. If you were to a barn, it's like the roof is sagging and the walls are bent inward.
Again, structurally, if it's in good shape, it's in good shape. If it's condemned, it's condemned. So we're looking at condemned buildings. If it's a condemned building, or it's not yet been condemned because of God. I was traveling. I remember when I was traveling on the road. So you many times you pass farmhouses. Certainly, I haven't seen it on 90 or whatever, 80. I haven't seen it on 80. But I did see it when I was traveling in the Canadian areas. There was a farm, or even Maine areas also. There were farmhouses that looked like they were about to, if a little wind would come and push it, it would fall. And that's how decrepit it was.
In the Midwest,
yeah, you have? Okay. So I haven't seen them. Like I said, when I'm on the highway, I don't see them. But if they're on the highway, because the highway is like what they want to build here. It was a one-lane highway. It went through everything.
A two-lane country road, you'll see that.
Right. So there, the things were leaning. Again, you have to be careful. I wouldn't, unless you're the owner of the property, but you have to wonder if that's going to fall down when you sneeze. So if that's the sort of place, so then you shouldn't go into that. Okay. So what the Gemara is using this is as a leaning wall is any place that's dangerous. Like I said, when it's leaning though, so you have a shadow. So I'm just telling you that the shadim can hide in those shadows. Why they like shadows, why they only attack one and not two, I have no idea. But that's what the Gemara tells us. So you have to be very careful with that. And then iyun tefillah, expecting one's prayers to be fulfilled. Umosir din al chaveru l'shamayim, and submitting judgment to one's fellow to heaven. And what does that mean? He says this refers to someone who feels they have been wronged by another person. Instead of seeking redress in court, he asks God to sit in judgment over the matter. By doing so, he indicates that he considers himself faultless, and that the other person will be punished on his account. Tosfot Harosh qualifies the statement as referring only to a case where there is a functional court to which the victim may turn. So if there's no court, then you can daven to Hashem to do this, but to in other words to make judgment here. But if there's a court, you shouldn't do it. Obviously, we learned this in another Gemara. I believe it's maybe in Brachos, I'm not sure, but it's we should really pray for the person to do teshuvah rather than pray for their downfall. That's from Peroria to her husband, where she was telling him, don't pray for them to die because they were bothering him. Rather, pray for them to do teshuvah. I think we learned it in this class, so it must be brachot.
I think so.
But that's what she's supposed to do. So now we have a problem, because before we said that iyun tefillah was good, and now we're saying iyun tefillah, iyun tefillah just means looking into prayer. In other words, I'm looking into the matter of prayer. I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to, when I study in-depth prayer, that's iyun. Okay, so here the article is explaining it so the Gemara will come out right, namely expecting one's prayers to be fulfilled. But iyun tefillah could just mean looking deeply into prayer, doing it in depth. So that's what and before we said iyun tefillah would lead to long life. So either it's detrimental or it's leading to long life. So what can it be? So the Gemara says, "Hi lo kasha," not a difficulty. This one that says you get prolonged. The objection to prolonged prayer is the ma'ayim be when one applies to it. When he expects his prayer to be fulfilled. In other words, he's davening and he asks God to win the lottery, and he totally believes it's going to fulfill because he deserves it. Well, then God is going to look at his deeds and put him up for the judgment. Okay? Whereas in this one, Rav Yehuda's statement where he said, at least a long life, the loma ayin, but he doesn't expect his prayer to fulfill. He's just looking into it. He wants to, he's trying to get kavanah. Vahechi avid, so what can he do? The mafish barachme, one should increase his reliance upon Hashem's mercy. So he explains that the Gemara now assumes that one who draws out his prayer will inevitably become ensnared in dwelling upon his own merit. It therefore asks what a person can do if he wants his request to be fulfilled. So the Gemara is answering that drawn out prayer does not necessarily lead one to reflect on his merit. On the contrary, it serves to remind him of his dependence on Hashem for each of his needs. He therefore realizes that were God to respond to his prayer, it would only be on account of God's kindness. Okay, so he records a slightly different text, and he has, but what should one do? He should increase mercy. He should pray for the realization that he's dependent upon Hashem's mercy. So when we're coming to davening, the point of this whole Gemara is if I'm going to go long into prayer, it shouldn't be that I'm expecting Hashem because of my tremendous devotion to answer all of my prayers. Rather, is to have me realize that I need to rely upon Hashem and His mercy, and that whatever I get is because of Hashem's mercy and not because I deserve it. Why can't it be because I deserve it? Why? There's an arrogance here, but there's also one other part, that every single time we take a breath, we should be thanking God. Every time. Okay, we can speak, eat, whatever we're going to do, we should be thanking God every single second of the day. And God does an amazing amount of stuff for us to keep us working. It's a miracle that we work. That we live and breathe and everything else. Total miracle every second of the day. Regardless of how science is going to explain it, it's a miracle. And so if we recognize that, and we recognize that everything that's happening to us, good and bad, is for our good, if we recognize that, so then we're in good shape, and then we rely upon, with each recognition, we are increasing our reliance upon Hashem. And that's what we have to do. So once you do that, then you're in good shape. Okay, so now the Gemara says, "Amarich al shechano," one who spends a long time at his table. What's going on here? So Dilma atiyanye vehavle. Perhaps a poor person will come and he will give food to him. Maybe that's why it prolongs longevity. Right? I'm sitting at my table, so I'm eating. Suddenly, somebody knocks on the door. And they happen to be poor. I invite them in to eat. Great. So now I've fed them. I've fulfilled the mitzvah of tzedakah. Dichtiv, as it says, Hamizbeach eitz shalosh amot gavoa. The altar was wood, 3 amot tall. Uchtiv, and it's written, Vayidabira Eli Hashem Hashulchan Hashilifnei Hashem. And he said to me, this is a table that is before Hashem. Patach b'mizbeach. The verse begins with speaking about the altar, but ends up speaking of the table. So Rav Yochanan and Rav Elazar, they both Rav Yochanan and Rav Elazar said that this is a verse's message. Kol Zaman Shabbat Mikdash Kayim, all the time that the base of Mikdash was standing. Mizbech Mechapir al Yisrael, the altar would atone for Israel. Ve'achshav, and now the temple has been destroyed. Shulchano shel Adam echaper alav. So now a table atones for him. This atonement is realized by providing for the poor at one's table. And again, he says this practice promotes longevity, as the verse states. Utzedaka tatzil mimavet, charity will save from death. And so Ben Yodai has a question. He says, why Rabbi Yehuda doesn't just simply say giving charity lengthens one's life? Okay, if you're going to say that, it's a matter of giving over food to him. So just give him money, let him have that too. So let's see, what else was there? I don't see it anymore. Okay, I really have to underline these things. That's the problem. I don't underline when I see them. Okay, let's go on. So, I don't see it here. Oh, Baruch Hashem. More construction. Amaret Bebereki say, one who spends a long time in the bathroom, that also is good. Ma'al Yutahu, is this a beneficial practice? Vatanya, I was taught in a Braita. Asara devarim avin et ha'adam lidei tachtoniot. That, you have it?
No.
He skipped it. Okay, let me just make sure. Yeah, I have it here. So, okay, 10 things bring a person to have hemorrhoids.
Oh.
Okay. Again, whenever it comes to medical advice, I caution one that we have to look at it. It could be that time has changed. It could be a lot of things. Okay, it could be that take it with a grain of salt. At the same time, you can also think about it. I know. I want to say something. When I was teaching the laws from the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and I was talking with somebody who is into the whole wheat, that whole thing. And when I was saying when I was reading the laws, they were saying it's true. So I think we have to also consider that our eating habits have changed dramatically. Oh, just in the past 30 years, 30, 40 years, certainly 60 years. Mm-hmm. And it used to be that people could have a lot of this, they were having healthier food without all the chemicals that we have, without all the enriched vitamins that we have. How many people, when you were young, or in the Amish country, how many people used enriched white flour? Zero. Okay, they all used regular whole wheat flour. Huh? Right, whatever they had, they would grow the flour, and they did it without GMOs,
all the additives.
Without the additives. It was grown from the ground. The fertilizer was from the animals, I'm guessing. Right? It was all natural stuff. And as a result, there was different, their bodies reacted differently as compared to how we do it now. And now there's an ad for for natural foods. But why do we have such a high level of cholesterol? Everybody has cholesterol today. High cholesterol, triglycerides, this, that, the other thing. A lot of people have diabetes too. All these things. It was not there 60 years ago. Now, you could argue people were dying before they developed. I don't know. But but the point is we're eating differently. And now that we're ingesting all of these different hormones that we give our animals in order so they'll grow fatter and everything else, and we're having enriched wheat and all the sugar cereals that we have, this is causing ADD, ADHD, it's causing everything, and we're ingesting it happily. We're eating the poison. If never mind drinking the Kool-Aid, we're now eating the poison. Yeah.
Also, things like in India, before different poison, the modifications, all the children would be blind by the age of 10. And then
Say it again, please.
All the children would be blind by the age of 10.
If what?
Or blind gene.
The majority of the population would have had the disease.
Like in India or
that there's a lack of something in the
Like a
rice, a vitamin in the rice, whatever that they didn't have before. They would go blind. A large majority would go blind.
So with
These
MMOs,
horrible poisonous additives, we made it so that they would stop going blind. The majority would be able to see.
And then what? So they no longer were blind because they didn't have any vitamin. They were blind because of others. But now they weren't blind because they couldn't eat what they needed to eat. So
Now the rice is giving them what they need to see.
because they couldn't grow what like carrots and stuff and all the vitamins that they needed.
So here was what you're looking at is, first of all, you're looking at our analysis of what they had and what they were missing. Okay, so let's assume that they were missing B12 just for argument's sake.
Right.
Okay, just for argument's sake. So now I give them a B12 pill. The B12 that I've manufactured is not necessarily what that vitamin really is. It's the closest approximations to what I think B12 is. And we have to always remember that we're just coming close. We think this is what it is. We therefore manufacture it, and it works. And we pat ourselves in the back and say, "Oh, see that we've improved something." I'm not against. By the way, I'm not against additives. I ingest plenty of them on my own. But what I'm saying is that that our bodies have changed very, very dramatically, and as our immune system have either gone up or gone down. There was never, when I grew up, there was never anybody who was allergic to peanut butter. I never heard of this.
Yeah. That's all we got in our lunch.
So I never heard. I hated this stuff. I never ate it, but I never heard of anybody breaking out from it. Just never heard of it. So again, and now every other person is allergic to peanut butter. Again, it doesn't bother me. Peter Pan can go away as far as I'm concerned. Peter Pan, I don't believe, and I don't really care. So let it go away. But because I don't enjoy the stuff. But think about it. All these things that are coming up of recent vintage is because, and they want to claim it's because of what we're ingesting. Now, why am I saying all this again? Because once you change our body, once you change our chemistry a little bit, that's when these laws, that's when these suggestions, these dietary suggestions can go into the toilet, because they're not going. We'll look and say we have this every time. It doesn't affect us. So okay, that's what I'm saying. So you have to be very careful when looking at this and just throwing it out wholesale, as compared to its witchcraft or its the science of those days, as compared to maybe what we've done is changed body chemistry, or we've become so used to it. I mean, think about it. People eat McDonald's every single day, or Dunkin' Donuts. You don't have Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, you do have Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah. Dunkin' Donuts or a Krispy Kreme. They eat this stuff every day.
That's your sugar and your animal fat that you're getting.
Right, right. So, well, hopefully not animal fat.
Well, from the
neither one of them.
hamburgers, I mean.
Okay, there you go. Right. So, but those aren't hamburgers.
I mean, people never used to eat meat 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, don't worry. When they go to McDonald's, they're not having meat. It's something. It's a meat derivative. They can't afford the meat. It's not $1 a burger, but it's. But the point is that we're eating garbage. We are eating a lot of garbage, and so that our body adjusts and will accept that garbage and live off the garbage. By the way, again, if you think about it, we are more obese today than we ever were before too. It used to be only the rich who were obese, and that was a sign of health.
Oh yeah.
But it's we are the richest country in the world. I think that we can still say that, and we're the most obese people in the world because we're eating everything, all the junk food. Yeah. Again, that hurts our body, but we don't see it. So now,
GMO is not entirely the problem. It's just
I didn't say it was.
But it's just the excess of eating it becomes a problem.
Correct, no, but there's a combination. That's what I'm saying. It's always a combination. Okay. So it says we're also not working like we used to work.
No.
That's the other thing. We're very sedentary there. So okay. So it says number one hit list. Ha'ochel ale kanim, one who eats the leaves of reeds. Ale gafanim, or the leaves of grapevines. Lule gafanim, the shoots of grapevines. Morige vehema, the ridged portions of an animal. That is those animals, the parts that are ridged rather than smooth. So these portions include the tongue, which is covered with a thick ridged membrane, the throat, and the lining of the stomach. There you go.
Wow.
So people who used to eat tongue, and people still eat tongue.
Yeah.
Okay. It's another thing I could never. Okay. V'dag malich she'enem mevushal kol tzorcha, or a salted fish that was not cooked completely.
Oh.
Hashota shimra yayin, one who drinks the lees of wine. That's the dregs of wine. You're going to drink that? Okay. So havakanech besid, or one who wipes himself with, after going to the bathroom, with lime.
Lime?
Well, you had to clean yourself some way, so.
Wait, limestone or what? Any other lime thing?
I guess, I don't know, lime, so I guess it was some sort of abrasive.
Yeah, you can break down limestone and it just turns to powdery stuff. So
Okay, so it could be that.
I don't know how you clean yourself with powder.
Huh?
I don't know how you clean yourself with powder.
Isn't that kind of caustic too?
Yeah, well, that's why it causes hemorrhoids. Okay. Uvacharsit, or with shards of pottery.
Ooh.
Yeah, remember, don't forget, we have toilet paper today.
Yeah, we're not.
So
using
we have no concept of what they were going through, but they had to
anything
wipe
they
them.
could pick up to clean themselves with it, basically.
Right, they used to use rocks and stuff. So,
Yeah. You got it. Yeah.
and that's what it says. And here's interesting: Hamakanech b'tzror shekanach bo chavero, or one who wipes himself with a pebble that his fellow had previously wiped himself. The first thing of recycling. Okay,
Wow.
you wash off the rock and you use it for you. Isn't that nice? Okay. Yesh omrim av hatola atzmo berakise yotimida. And this is the whole point of this thing, is also one who suspends himself or squats too much in the privy, in the bathroom. It is thus evident that spending too much time in the bathroom is harmful. So he's giving you all these things, but the final thing is what we're looking at, and namely one who sits in the toilet too long. So why? Because he's opening himself. He's
Well,
allowing.
he's talked about causing hemorrhoids at the beginning.
Yeah, that's what it's called about hemorrhoids.
Yeah.
So again, by the way, when you're wiping, what they're saying is, bottom line is, if you irritate the anal cavity, I guess you call it. Okay, if you irritate that's what's going to cause you problems. So if you're going to put something in your body that's digesting, that's causing you to really move, so that's not going to be a good situation. Or if you're wiping
This makes sense.
Or if you wipe yourself with something that is bad, which is why when you were in college, I guess, they used to have the little pieces of paper, the toilet paper that you would take off from
Little squares, yeah?
Yeah, the worst toilet paper in the world, because it's torturous. It's like sandpaper, and so you don't want to get. That's why
take about 2 dozen of them.
Right, but it's hard on you. It's hard, and that's and a lot of the tissues were hard, which is why. Again, you guys won't know the commercial, but that's when you had Charmin.
Yeah.
Mr. Whipple, with Mr. Whipple, please don't squeeze the Charmin. But it was so soft. That's how they used to sell it. It's soft, beautiful, beautiful. The tissues that we use. Think about that. The tissues that we use are also, now they have, well, not now, for 20, 30 years they've had this.
The wet wipes.
But
Wet wipes.
no. Where they put aloe into their
That's in
tissues.
Kleenex. I don't think, is that
Kleenex.
Kleenex, that's right.
Tissues.
Yeah.
Right, so they put aloe in there to make it soft because, again, it was abrasive on your nose.
That actually works.
I'm not arguing what works and what doesn't. What I'm saying is that the richer we become, the more we can be tender on ourselves,
pamper ourselves.
and pamper ourselves. And so when we pamper ourselves, we avoid some of these irritants.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing here is that the Gemara was saying, this is what you have to avoid.
If you're back in that day, it certainly makes sense.
Right. So now, like I said, the question is, in one case it said, if I go to the bathroom and I sit there a long time, it's good. It's good for longevity. Here it's saying, no, it's harmful to me. So again, lokasha, it's on a difficulty. What's going on here? The one where it says is bad for you is when one spends a long time and he's squatting. But whereas the other one spends a long time in the privy without having to suspend himself, rather he sits on something. So again, if I'm squatting compared to sitting, when I'm squatting, I'm putting my
More stress, more pressure, huh?
on my knees certainly, but I'm also just thinking about what happens when you're not comfortable. You're spreading certain things out, okay? As compared to if I'm sitting, I'm comfortable, so I'm relaxing, I'm reading my book, I'm reading whatever I'm doing. So that's the type of thing. Either I'm sitting, and that's not a problem, I'm taking my time.
Is this implying that they did have the concept of something to sit on back in those days?
Yeah,
Rather than
they
just
did.
squatting.
They had it says they would have a bench, they would have a hole in it.
Oh, we saw this at I guess it was Caesarea or Acco. There were old ancient Roman barracks. They had things, they carved into the stone.
Yeah.
They still have them today.
With openings in it, the water.
Yeah, no, obviously, but what he's asking is, that's how toilets today. But what he's asking is, did they have it in those
We
days?
still have those holes. We have the planks of wood with holes in them today. They're called outhouses. People still use them.
Where? Where do you have it?
In outhouses in the country.
People still have outhouses?
Yeah.
The power goes out, you can't flush the toilet.
Say again?
If the power goes out, you can't flush the toilet, and you need to go number 2.
Right. So that people still have
Or it's
outhouses?
left over from when they first built the farmstead. They just leave it there.
Okay. But still, that would be today. But we're going back 1,500 years, so how far to go back? I think they had it in Greek times, probably. It's a long time. I mean, people. But what I think about if I don't have that, so I would just squat.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. You squat and.
So if you're on the road someplace.
Right, you squat and you get over it. So that's what he's saying. So that's the difference. If I stand there and I'm squatting, well, again, all my muscles are being put on. It's all the wrong muscles sometimes. And compared to when I'm sitting, I'm relaxed. So if I'm relaxed, things will flow, and that's not a problem. Okay?
A lot of these tie together. The dangers that you do to your body once you change and go away from the natural.
Yeah.
You start eating more refined foods, then you have stomach problems, then you have digestive problems, then you have elimination problems.
Right.
It's all, the human body is made to function in the natural world, not the chemical world.
Yeah.
Most of you're getting shoots of grapevine and stuff like that.
That's natural, but that's not good.
But also not.
Well, it's like you say, it's organic. There's lots of things that are organic that you can't eat.
Yeah, but you have to understand something too, that apparently this could have been a delicacy.
Right.
So you have to always keep in mind that some people want to eat these delicacies, and either that or it's for poor men. I'm not sure which one it would be.
This is part of the Eastern Mediterranean. Is grape leaves.
Yeah.
Are a delicacy.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Save these big grape leaves, and you dry them out, and then you soak them in oil, and you
Stuff them.
fill them with rice.
This
and meat.
is. I've seen this in
all
recent
over,
years.
all over the
I've
Middle
seen this
East.
in recent years now at people's houses.
Okay, so there you go.
It's a
So
preservative. It's a way, before refrigeration, it was a way to preserve things.
So if that's the case, then it would make sense, because we said before in the Gemara, and we can never forget this, that if we get used to eating bad stuff, so it no longer affects us.
Oh.
We build up an immunity to it. So it would make sense that this was delicacies that you weren't getting every single day, as compared to, let's say, iceberg lettuce, which was nothing, or whatever you eat today. That's we're just eating every single meal. By the way, that's why meat is no longer a problem for us, because most people do eat meat every day, meat, chicken, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's a normal thing. It's
the
normal
body's learn
thing.
how to digest it, but I'm saying in terms of cholesterol, you're still getting, even with chicken, you're still getting animal fat.
Oh, but again, let's understand, cholesterol is different for every single person. Because cholesterol, you can have triglycerides, which has nothing to do with the meats. Has to do with my carbohydrates I'm taking, my carbohydrates and sugars. So that's why everybody has high triglycerides today, because all our foods are so sugar and it's everything, carbohydrates. How much spaghetti do we have? How much pizza do we have? How much bread do you have these days? And again, the bread is not whole wheat bread. It's a wheat enriched white bread. So it's garbage. It's garbage from garbage.
Starch not a good
Right?
stuff.
Air socks. Okay, so yeah,
Artificial.
right. It's all artificial, and you're having that. That's your triglycerides, and there's more and more and more. For that, if you want to know it really, it's all those things. But if you want to see it more, you go to the guy Lance Armstrong. His website goes through all this stuff. Now the fact that he's a liar and blah blah blah, who cares? But the website is fine. The website, I was recommended to that website by a doctor to say go on. When it comes to other cholesterol like LDL, that's a bad one. LDL is a bad. So I think that's something with meat. That's with the meat. But again, if you eat a balanced meal, then you're going to solve your own headache. But like I said, most people aren't doing that. They're indulging in the donuts. They're indulging in all this other stuff that we never ever had so easily. I mean, I go to the deli and I can pick up all the garbage that I want. Krispy Kreme. Again, if you're not kosher, Dunkin' Donuts.
You know, the idea of balance. Whenever we go through these,
Right.
you start to tie the two together and link them. Like one up here, charity.
Right.
So charity and nutrition, if you would eat less and give a portion to people that are hungry, you would both benefit.
Right. Right.
And sometimes, you know, like when you're fasting, well, if it's hard for you to fast, then we're told, well, if you would give that portion you were going to eat, and you knew that someone else was benefiting from your fasting, then it would be easier. That you put these things together.
Correct.
It's all a system. If you would appreciate what God has given, then you would be more likely to think that the foods that God's given you are nutritious, and you would eat the natural food, the whole foods. You know, each one of these balances.
True. But again, I don't want to belittle all these enriched foods that we have, but it's because a lot of them are valid, and you know, it was a way to keep people healthy too. Let's face it. If a person would just get cereal, in other words, if I would just go back to my old diets of flapjacks, remember what that's pancakes for those who don't know, flapjacks with bacon or whatever they were serving, you know, with all that grease that goes in with it, and it's not healthy either. So all these things weren't, you know, like I said, today we're living till the 80s and 90s and whatever. Today, and they were living to 40s and 50s. So I'm not going to say their diet was better than ours. All I'm saying is that their sensitivity to foods as compared to our sensitivities to foods have changed. That's all I'm really bringing up. I remember when I was in college, so I took a course on food science and nutrition. And I had the guy who wrote the book on it. He was one of the people who wrote the book. And he was the teacher. And he said to us, you all think that pizza is no good? I said, what's wrong with pizza? Says you have what you're having is eggs, wheat, cheese. You're having a lot of food. You're having a lot of vegetables. You're having a lot of food groups together. Very healthy food. Enjoy the pizza. And he said, when you think you're eating horrible on cereals, you get Cocoa Puffs, okay? And then you get shredded wheat. Well, on the side of that, you have nutrition facts. Look at them the next time you decide you want to be so healthy. to get the one versus the other. And you realize that the sugary cereals have a lot of vitamins compared to the other cereals that don't have as much. So he said, let's look at the facts instead of what you think, and you won't be ripped off as much.
Wow.
So he was very strong on that. And again, he was a guy who was in the field. Now, granted, the year was the early 79, 80, something like that. So it could have changed in all these years. I'm not going to argue that either. But it was something that always stuck in my mind, that all these foods that we want to reject, if I read just the facts about what they are, nutrition facts, and the calories and everything else, and then I realize what kind of calories they are. There's calorie is energy. A calorie is my gas. So if I have 120 calories but zero fat content, what's wrong with that? I gave myself an instant energy. Go for it. If I have a certain amount, this is strange. It used to be 1 pound was equal to 5,000 odd calories. Now they changed the computation, 7,000 calories. I saw that recently online.
Really?
I said, Baruch Hashem, I can eat more now.
All right, these people are eating. I saw an article. I saw an article recently. I was on some magazine or something about checking those nutrition facts very carefully. Look for the low fats and.
You should look, and like I said, they really do have to tell you. For the most part, everything is going on. The government allows them 2% or 3%, whatever it's going to be, but it's not reportable. Fine, but in general, we have a decent amount, and they tell you how much of the recommended daily allowance you're supposed to have. The RDA, good. So, like I said, I don't want to belittle all the foods out there. I as a person who ingests them, I would be a hypocrite to do that. But all I'm saying is that we've changed what we're sensitive to. And possibly, due to what we're ingesting, we also have created our own headaches. Namely, like I said, diabetes 2, certainly the peanut all these allergies that we've gotten, and certainly cholesterol. Yeah. We've put ourselves into that because we don't think about what we're eating. We don't look at the side. We like it because it tastes good. That's all.
One of the things that's changed also is food used to be a much bigger percentage of your income.
Right.
And so as food becomes cheaper and you have greater quantities, it used to be that just economics made for portion control.
Right.
You could only afford so much. And I can remember my mother, the peanut butter sandwich. It was because they couldn't afford the price of lunches at the school.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I took a bag lunch, and your portions were kind of dependent on your means.
I want you to know something else. We'll have to stop here. I want to know something else. They say, why do we have so many allergies? Why is this? Because we're so fastidious. Because we wash more than we ever did before.
One of the most
think about that.
are these hand
Right.
soaps.
But I want to
never have any.
Right, I want to think about that. We no longer have germs. So we're constantly washing our hands. We're not, unlike the people who are on the farms or wherever else, where they're immersed in dirt and they're eating dirt. Whatever it's called. But think about that. Because we're not, as we advance and we become more cultured and we wash our hands and we don't exercise much, and we're very, as a country, we're very lazy. And we're sitting in our desks, mostly because we're white-collar workers. And most people aren't blue-collar. It was when I was in college, and probably when you were in college, and probably you, everybody was probably, we were told, you don't want to be a blue-collar worker. You want to be a white-collar worker. You want to be in the office. You want to do this. Don't dirty your hands. I mean, everybody heard that. Today, this very day, we still hear it. And, the blue-collar workers, who wants it? Again, I always tell my kids now, plumbers don't make such bad dollars. Okay? You can get your hands dirty if you want. If that's really what turns you on, God bless you. Somebody has to fix the toilets. But think about that. If we, because of how we've changed our living habits, including being fastidious, including taking showers every day, that was unbelievable. Who would take a shower every day? Once a week, once a month in the old days. What are you kidding? The Jews had to say every Shabbos. to go. But so that was the halakha. You should go every Shabbos. You should go to the bath, blah, 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 to prepare yourself. But there was never a concept of every single day. I feel a little sweaty. I'm going to take a shower.
Yeah.
I want to feel good. I'll take a hot shower too.
Yeah.
A hot shower. I'm going to wash myself. It's unbelievable how much we do that. As a result, they argue. According to the Gemara. As a result, scientists today are arguing that's where the proliferation of all these allergies are coming from, because we didn't build up the antibodies.
You know,
It's amazing stuff they're saying.
uh,
Whether or not true, I don't know.
pediatrician we took when our girls were born. We asked them about, so when I think they nursed for a little bit, we asked them about bottles.